Hey, horse friends, I'm Becca Salamone, and you're watching American Horse Talk Live. Thank you so much for joining us today, and special thanks to the replay viewers. We always appreciate our replays because a lot of folks can't watch this when we're live. And I just want to say, if you're enjoying our content, please feel free to go ahead and share it with your horse friends. We like to have as many people on the live stream as we can. And also, you need to be watching this on the American Horse Talk page, not the group, but the page, to comment live so we can see what you're saying and asking to Barbro. And I guess I just gave away who my guest is there. I mentioned her name. So this is Barbro Ask-Upmark. I hope I said that right. Is that right?
Not easy to Swedish name.
No. So welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm doing great.
Awesome. Is it cold where you are?
You bet. It's about 20 degrees.
Yeah, for sure. So what we wanted to do is have you on the show today because you know all about equine simulators, and actually we're involved in the development of them. So you're the expert on it. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your background with horses, and then we'll get into those other questions.
Of course. I started to ride when I was a small child, 7 years old first time, and I couldn't wait to get off because I was horrified. Anyway, I got back next week, and after a couple of weeks I was hooked, and I have never recovered since then. So I got my first own horse when I was 10. I was very lucky, only child. And I grew up with horses. And when I decided what to choose for work, I knew it was difficult to get a job where you would ride horses and get paid for it,
Right.
at least if you're in your early 20s and you have no experience really. So I applied to become a police officer, and eventually I became a mounted police officer, and worked for many years in Sweden training the young horses and also the older horses, and did real police work as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of exciting that you did police work, and you did that for several years. And I think you won some awards with that, didn't you?
Yes, I won the Swedish Police Championships 14 years in a row, I think it was, and in dressage and jumping. And then we went to Germany for the European championships, and I rode against a lot of Germans, one of them being Klaus Balkenhol, that I think you all know the name of.
Yeah.
And I had the pleasure of riding his later Olympic gold horse, Goldstern, because the three top riders in the final had to switch horses. So I got to ride Goldstern, and I ended up altogether with a silver medal after Klaus. I couldn't. And then the third German was after me. He got the bronze. So that was really, really fun.
That's awesome. All right. So can you share like a moment from that time period where, either a funny or scary moment that you had as a police officer?
There were quite a few of them. One is actually where my colleague Britt-Marie and I worked together on a Midsummer Eve, and it was late at night, or rather like 3:30 in the morning, I think. In Sweden it doesn't get dark that time of year, and there was a call for a suspected rapist, and he was our way, and they told us on radio that you might see him, so keep your eyes open. And sure enough, he came out running in front of us on a path, and so both our horses, we trained where we were not working, we trained them in dressage. So my horse was doing Grand Prix dressage, and her horse was doing Prix St. George. So they were very obedient. So we just picked up the reins, picked up the canter, and cantered up behind him, one on each side, and without stopping, took his arms, one on each side, and lifted them over the pommel of the horses. And then we just kept cantering, and he was running between us on his tippy. Horrified. I don't think he ever will forget the experience.
No, that's a great story. I love that. All right. So also, one of the things that you do is the equine simulator. So tell us a little bit about these simulators. They're with Racewood Limited. Is that right?
Yes. So it all started about 15 years ago. I had moved to California at that time. I left Sweden in 2000, and I in California. And my trainer and mentor is David Hunt, who is the president of the International Trainers Club, and he's also one of the supervisory judges that sits on top of the other judges as Olympics and World Championships. And I have been riding with David for almost 25 years now. And so he came to give a clinic, and so he told me, he said, I have a client in England that is doing something with some mechanical horses. I think you should look into that, because I think that would be a great thing for this country to have. I had never heard of it before, so I got really intrigued. So I contacted Racewood, who makes them. They are close to Manchester in England, and it's a family company. And sure enough, they were making riding simulators. And their big business was really to make racehorse simulators for the jockeys. But then Bill Greenwood, who is the inventor, had ventured into doing a basic riding simulator. It didn't have screens, so it was more like kick pads and no transfer. And so it was a very basic model. But I got very intrigued, and I bought one. I brought it, shipped it over here, and after just very few months, I had it at the Equine trade show up in Sacramento. And a trainer from Sacramento asked me if she could lease it from me. So she did. And she had it for many, many years. And she eventually bought that simulator out from me. And she later sold it to a movie company. So
Really?
Simon is now a movie star. So after that, I talked to Bill, and I said, it's a nice simulator, but I'm really missing that the horse is picking up the right or the left lead. It should be something so you don't have to kick him into canter. And a few months later, he called and he said, I put an extra motor on, so now you can pick up the left and the right canter. So then I bought those and leased that one out very quickly to a lady in San Diego. And then I bought another one, and I sold that one to the Los Angeles Equestrian Center.
My goodness.
It kept going like that. And so then I saw the race horse simulator, that they had a screen on that, so the jockeys could see like a race. So I asked Bill, I said, do you think you could do that with a dressage arena? And he said, why would I want to do that? And then I told him how precise we want things with dressage riders. We really want to know that we write the right letter and what we're doing.
Right.
So he did that. It took probably about a year or something, and then the dressage simulator came out. So I helped them with that in, where the leg should be. There was 3 different positions for the leg sensors, and how much pressure should be on the reins. And that horse has its neck up in a upper level dressage position all the time. It doesn't move up or down, but sideways. And it just says on the screen, lost contact.
Okay. All right. And so go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
Very good simulator, but it was still, for me, missing things. So I kept challenging Bill, and I said, do you think you can make one that can jump? And I said, well, that would be a totally different story. And eventually he got one that could jump, but that horse didn't bend his neck back and sideways. It only went up and down. So that kind of gave you a funny feeling when you were steering it, because only the head turned, not the neck. And he had that for a year or so. And I said, okay, so why don't you make one that can do both dressage and jumping? And Bill said, no, I can't do that because the neck will be too heavy. I can't make the horse go both up and down and sideways with the neck. And I said, I'm sure you can. And it took about 2.5 years and many angry phone calls from Bill telling me he had a lot of necks laying around. And he money and a return on it. So then finally he got this one. He called me and he said, I think I got it. Can you come over? So I flew over there and we worked together for almost a week. And mostly with the software guy, John, that is absolutely incredible. So I said, a little bit more up, a little bit less, whatever. And he just tweaked the software. And we have been basically doing that between us for almost a year, back and forth.
Wow.
When I something that I feel like he is not jumping off exactly where I would like him to jump, or he doesn't react for my leg the way I want, I talked to John, and then he tweaked the software, and then he fixed it. So now I would say we have a almost perfect, I would say perfect horse.
That's awesome. Well, that's a great story, and I'm going to go over that list of different simulations in just a minute. But I want to say hey to Kim. I see she's on there, Kim Wynn, and my husband's on there. Looks like he might be on there twice. I don't know how he did that. But we welcome all the viewers there. So you know, as you're telling the story, you're talking about the different types of simulators, and so now you have eventing, dressage, jumping, racehorse, the polo pony, and the RDA simulator. What is the RDA simulator?
That is a special horse that is made specifically for therapeutic riding. And it's basically a dressage simulator, but with an extra software. And the extra software is made so like for autism, for instance, it's very proactive. They can ride a horse and they see the screen, and then it tells them what to do. You know, ride to where the church is dinging the bells, and do you see the ducks, and they ride like a little trail ride around, but they have to interact and take the horse and the simulator to where they are supposed to be. And then also so there are different programs for therapeutic riding.
Okay. I also want to mention that Catherine Williams says, I'm a beginning dressage rider and have learned so much from Barbro on the simulator. Do you know Catherine?
I sure do. She almost every day she has a lesson, and it's really a story because Catherine came to me with an injured shoulder after falling off her hunter jumper horse, and she started to ride pretty late and always rode hunter jumper, so she never learned dressage in any way, shape, or form. And when she came to me, it was only to be able to get back in the saddle quicker than she could on the horse, and also get over some fear issues. And she started to ride, and after 2 lessons, I saw she had an incredible talent for feel and timing, and she rode in the dressage saddle. And we started to really, you know, do more things from the dressage point of view, being able to keep the horse up on the bit and do different things. And she progressed so quickly. And I said, have you ever thought about maybe you should do dressage instead of jumping? Because with jumping, you will never really go anywhere with it. You will jump maybe 2 feet and still be horrified. While you can ride dressage when you're 90, you can go to Grand Prix if you are good and you have a suitable horse. And she said, I will think about it. And she kept riding. And she said, I'm really intrigued with this. She's really a perfectionist, but she's also having a good feel. So she turned more and more into dressage, and took it to a colleague of mine, Julio Mendoza here in Tryon, and he was kind enough to put her on one of his Grand Prix horses. And so she got to feel what it felt to ride a big ground. And first she rode him like a hunter, because then she got back on a horse and she started to ride him like a hunter with a long rein. But then once she picked up the reins and we reminded her how she ride a simulator, she started to ride him like the simulator, and she did Piaffe and Passage, and she was just thrilled. And then we went and bought one. So now we have a nice horse coming in a week from California that is trained up to intermediate 1.
That's great. So this machine can be used to help refine your aids and you know, make you be a better rider while you're on that, and you can be right there touching them and telling them what they're doing right and wrong. So it transfers to when they get on their horse's back.
Exactly. And that's what I have seen over the years, and especially now when we have this simulator that is so incredibly precise and advanced and correct in a way. So just the fact that if the rider is not sitting deep in the saddle, like you should in dressage, or sit on a horse really, and you're not holding the connection properly, the horse will pull on you. He will pull his neck down and pull, and then when you pull back, he will stop. Whether you go canter or trot or walk, he will stop. So that is the first thing, that the rider learns to hold the connection correctly, and they will see that on the screen as well. There is one, when we start off, we do it on the instruction screen, as it's called. You don't have to steer, but you can see your reins, how much pressure you have on each rein, and more often than not, riders have more pressure on one rein than the other, and they think they are even, and then they see the bars on the screen showing them that they have maybe 70% on one hand and 30 on the other. So that is a revelation for many riders. And then also with their seat, it's incredibly sensitive in the seat sensors. You can put any saddle on, but I have a really nice saddle that I'm sponsored with, N2 saddles. That is just an amazing, comfortable and beautiful saddle, and it lays perfect on the simulator as well. So it reads the minute changes that riders have when they get tense, or they lift up the seat, or they sit more on one side or the other. And then also the leg sensors are very sensitive. So if you put your leg on in the wrong position, or when you're not supposed to put it on, the horse will react in one way or another. If you put one leg on, he might go into a half pass or a leg yield. He might do a flying change if you put your leg back. So it immediately shows what the rider does, and the horse doesn't get upset, which is the best part of it. Because I think that a lot of riders, they don't realize the benefit of doing a simulator, and some even laugh and think that it's a kind of stupid thing to do. But that just tells me no idea about what the horse really feels when you ride. If you are doing, if you speak English one day and Swedish and then Japanese, the horse will not understand you if you keep talking different languages, and then you might kick him because he doesn't understand, or in reality it's because the rider is doing something that the horse thinks he wants to do. Like, for instance, I had a rider the other day, and she was sitting side, and it was not really visible for me as an instructor to see that, but I saw on the screen that her sensor was going crazy on the side. So I asked her, I said, do you feel like you're sitting in the middle? She said, absolutely, I'm sitting in the middle. And we really had to work on getting her in the middle. And once she sat in the middle, she said, it feels like I'm going to fall off to the left. And then I said to her, when you sit like this, your horse will always drift to the right, because the horse will try to be underneath your weight. And I said, oh my God, that's why I keep kicking him on the right side. And he even have lost both on the right side, because I keep kicking him on that side. And, such an easy thing to fix. Sit in the middle instead and figure that out on the simulator. And then you don't have to kick your horse.
Yeah, it would be amazing if this thing, everybody could go through this and see what their weaknesses are when they're riding. That'd be awesome.
And even in England now, at the jockey school in England, you cannot become a jockey unless you have graduated on the racehorse simulator to show that you can race without whipping too hard and unbalanced and all the things that they measure. And I think, maybe we should have something similar.
Yeah. Well, that was one of my questions is, this is a really niche industry, and, what do you see happening with it? And do you think in the future that certification programs for instructors or whoever, or even for riders, that they'd be required to go through this?
I think it is definitely an idea to look into. They are very expensive, of course. It's an amazing machine, and they cost about $120,000, $130,000 when you have shipped them and done everything. So it is of course, not everybody cannot buy one, but the more common it become, the closer it will be for riders to go and have lessons. And I give certification courses for people that buys one. I give a certification course so they know how to train on it and use it as it is a real horse. So that's the whole point, that you train people so they start to think they are training a real horse. And then when they get on their own, it really changes the life for not just the rider, but for the horse as well.
And for the people that have never seen one, and unfortunately I couldn't get a picture to upload here to show people, but kind of describe what it looks like, because a lot of them look like almost like real horses, and then you've got the screens in front of you for the feedback, right?
So this one has 3 big screens in front of you on angles. So it feels like you're really riding in a dressage arena, or you're riding at a jumping course or a cross country. He can do all 3 things. And he is black, beautiful black, with a real mane and a real tail. It is about 15.2 hands. Many riders think he is taller because he is pretty impressive. And he runs on hydraulics. So the hydraulics are covered where the legs should be. So legs are hydraulics, so to speak. And so he lifts up quite a lot of feet. And he also shoots forward as much as you would want in an extended trot or in a passage, or also jumps. He has to come, not just come up, but he also have to go forward over the jump. So so it gives a real realistic feeling. And I had one of the gold American jumping dressage jumping riders on from the WEG, and he rode it and was totally, we couldn't get him off, really. I mean, he wanted to get it right, and he just kept riding and riding. Said, no, I have to get this. And one of the dressage, German dressage riders on as well, and he just absolutely loved it. He said it feels exactly like a real horse. The only thing I'm missing, he said, is that when I do the cross-country course, I would like to have a fan blowing in my face so it feels like I'm really out galloping.
Yeah, there you go.
But the horse, the way the horse moves and everything, he was just blown away, really, how cool it is.
It occurs to me to ask you this: has anybody ever fallen off one?
No. Sometimes when I have had some non-rider that has been a little bit cocky and said, I want to jump the highest jump you have. And, you have to be very careful, because if you have not done that before, you could actually fall off. So even when I put them on a low jump, they have been hanging on and asked me to maybe stop the horse.
That's funny. Now, you talked about Catherine Williams that you work with, but another equestrian that I know that you know is my friend Preston Healy.
Yeah.
Little guy. Talk about him for a minute, because he's kind of an awesome rider.
Yeah, he is. He came together with a group to ride at the simulator, and I think it was the Pony Club or something. And kids in that age, it's a little bit hard for them to focus and also to take the seriousness of it. So I try to make it more fun for them. They can jump without having the horse necessarily on the bit, and they can just go around the horse. And that's what you used to when you have kids in between 8 and 12. Especially boys, they just want to go, right?
Right.
Preston, and he picks up the reins, and I explained to him what he needed to do, and like I do with everybody, but when I see that they don't have any interest in keeping the horse on the bit, then you don't push them. But Preston was just right on it, and when he lost the horse, he was like, oh, I lost him, oh, I have to get him back up again. And he was just getting him back on the bit, and he rode, and the longer he rode, I mean, I was really super impressed. He is such a good feeling for it, and he is on it, and he uses his mind all the time to what it feels like I wish all riders would do. And I think in the future we will hear a lot about him if he keeps riding.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he rides over at El Gazera Riding Academy, which is near me, and then they just reinstated their Cahaba Pony Club, which is pony club, and it's been around for 60 years here in Alabama. And they've just kind of re-upped it and got new membership. So, yeah, I think he's going to be around for a while, and we're going to hear about him forever.
I think, remember his name.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So tell us also a little bit about Tryon International Equestrian Center, because that's where you actually work right now.
Yes. So 2 years ago, or 2.5 really, I got a phone call from one of the assistants to Mr. Bellissimo and Molly. He called me and asked me if I could come over here and show them how to run the simulator, because they had bought one and it up. And so I came over here and I was giving a couple of lessons. And when I was done, Molly looked at me with big eyes and she said, this is not a coffee machine that I can just turn on and off. We need to have you. So it started with that. And then I got actually employed as a trainer and education manager at Tryon, and it has been an amazing journey. It's an incredible group of people that are just determined to get the equestrian sport to a wider audience, to people that not necessarily can afford to buy a horse or to take riding lessons. And therefore, everything is free when you come to TIEC, Tryon International Equestrian Center. When you come there, you can bring your grandma and your children, your parents, and everybody's going to have a great time. We have Saturday Night Lights, which is basically a Disneyland for equestrian lovers. So you have the carousel, you have face painting, you have
Wow.
magicians, bubbles, you name it, and fantastic restaurants. Anything from sushi to Italian to diner to a grill and Mexican food, and you can just have a blast. And then you get to see the best riders in the world competing in the under the lights Saturday night, and you have a live band, and it's just a really big party around horses.
That sounds like a place I want to visit.
Yes, we start up here in April, and every Saturday night we have this going, and then we have shows every weekend from Thursday to Sunday every weekend from early April.
Okay. And is it just the English disciplines or is it all disciplines?
No, now after the WEG, we are going to do more like roping and reining and all that. And we
Okay.
have the big, beautiful arena that is, I think, one of the biggest in North America.
Wow.
And it's going to be all disciplines. We have had driving, endurance, therapeutic, para dressage. And we have our first CDI in April for dressage. And then of course, the CSI jumpings. So, yeah, it's always something going on. So if you're not there weekend, you're going to miss.
Okay. And how many arenas do they have to have, concurrent events happening at the same time?
We have, I would say about 10.
Okay. Wow. And how many stalls? Do you know?
About 2,000 stalls, and they are
Wow.
all permanent. So the horses
Okay.
have a really good setup there with fans and permanent stalls.
Okay. All right. Let's see. We didn't talk about your horses yet, but you have horses currently?
No, I have right now. I only have one horse in, and it's a colleague and friend of mine that owns him, and it's a successful intermediate horse. And now we're trying to get him up to step up to Grand Prix. So I'm helping Peter with that, who is the owner, and hopefully he will do Grand Prix this spring. And then Catherine's horse, when it's coming in a week, we will have Dom Perignon here, and we keep training him and getting Catherine all situated as a dressage rider. And I sold my own Grand Prix horse when I left California. His name was Monterey, and he is a Swedish warm blood, and he lives in Ocala now. Have a good life there.
Okay. And then kind of give people a brief history of your honors and awards, because you've won tons of things.
So I didn't understand the question.
What you've won, your honors and your awards through the years.
So the first was 2002 when I had my Swedish warm blood Moliere. He and I got the horse of the year for the country for Swedish warm bloods in Grand Prix, and then Monterey and I were the California champion in 2017 and 18 in Grand Prix and Grand Prix Freestyle in Southern California, and I have been showing, in Sweden before I left Sweden. I was riding as a team rider in the Swedish championships and was gold medals several times. I don't know how many, and then silver medals also many times. So been a long journey.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I thought I heard you say that the interest with the simulators is what brought you to America. Is that what brought you here?
Well, no, not really. I was just kind of fed up with the weather in Sweden, and here I am now in North, right? But I was fed up with that, and also I came to the point where I just felt I was about 45 years old. I wanted to do something different than the mounted police for the rest of my life. So I packed up, went to Canada, and it kind of went from there. I brought my horse over after about 6 months, and And then I started to give lessons and ride, and then I got my citizenship, and here I am.
Yeah. And these machines become favorites of people. And I was looking online, and it looks like they named the machines. Is that right?
All machines have names. I know where all of them are, and we have named the last name of the event simulator on all of them is Maximus. So you know, if you see it says Dante Maximus, then you know it's an event simulator. And Dante Maximus was my simulator. It was the first one that came out, and I bought him. Then when I got employed here, Mr. Bellissimo bought Dante from me and have him in Wellington. So I have been there 3 months of the year, the last 2 winters, and giving lessons. And this year we have not been able to do it because we're looking for a permanent setup for him,
Right.
location in Wellington where he can be in an AC condition environment. He has been sitting in a tent outside Global Dressage, and it's not ideal because of the rain and the wind, and it's a lot of electronics, that needs to be protected. So once we have up in Wellington at a good location, then I will be going down there for clinics.
Okay. Yeah. And that was my next question is, when is your next clinic and where is it?
In Kentucky is the next one, Lexington, and I'm going. They have bought a Maximus simulator, so I will be there on the 24th of February, I believe it is. And after that, I'm going to Texas probably, and then I'm going to do clinics here, Tryon. And we also have the possibility here that people could bring their own horse. And the best way to do it is to have a lesson on the simulator and then go to your horse and ride your horse and kind of transfer over what you just learned on the simulator. It really carries over that way. So
Yeah, that would be fabulous.
I will offer that kind of clinics too.
And you mentioned a clinic coming up in Germany and Austria. Is that right?
Yes, I'm going to Germany in late June for a couple of days. There are Grand Prix riders there, and they have also bought one machine, and so I will be going there and give lessons on that for a couple.
Well, you're a busy woman.
Yes, good.
So,
busy.
how can folks book a lesson with you?
Well, they can either go to Tryon.com, our website, and then go under competitors and look for the simulator there, or they can go to alwaysagoodride.com, which is my personal website, and then there they can just go to contact us and set up a lesson.
Awesome. And so people can find you at Always a Good Ride Equine Simulators on Facebook and at Barbro Ask-Upmark as well.
Yes, those are my Facebook pages that I have. And then the website, alwaysgoodride.com, is very easy to maneuver. And then they can also see the different simulators and what they do and see a video of the Maximus model so they can see what it looks like. And like I said, Tryon.com is also a good website to go to. Okay,
great. Well, I appreciate you coming on today to share your horse story with us. We learned all sorts of neat things about you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate being on. And I hope to see many of you here at Tryon or in Wellington.
For sure. And maybe you can come back later and give us an update on, after you get back from Europe. That'd be kind of fun to see how that went.
I'd love to.
Thank you. Great. All right, guys. Well, thank y'all for watching and sticking with us on the live. And make sure you share this with all your horse friends for replay views. We love that. And make sure you go to the American Horse Talk page to like that so you can get our updates on when we go live. And join the conversation over on the American Horse Talk group and help us share love of country and love of horse. Bye-bye.
Bye.